Story time about how my boyfriend caught me with my sugar daddy. Quick disclaimer, this is not my story time and my eyes are red because I got sunscreen in them. So my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 4 years. The relationship itself is good, but the only problem is that he doesn't really pay for anything. I pay for the bills, almost all of the rent, and I even pay when we go on dates. I've always had a good job and he's always had like mediocre jobs here and there. I've always told him that I want him to get a better job and he says no because he's comfortable at the job that he's at. Meanwhile, I'm busting my butt and paying for everything. The only things that he pays for are when he goes out to eat by himself or if he's hanging out with his friends, or sometimes here and there he'll buy groceries, but it's really rare. So 2 years ago, I decided to find myself a sugar daddy. Number one, I want the money, and number two, I just want to feel taken care of. So I went through a few sugar daddies, and I didn't tell my boyfriend that I was actually doing this. Finally, I found myself the perfect sugar daddy. He gives me $5,000 a month and takes me out shopping whenever I want. We usually go out to fancy dinners, movies, things like that. Whenever I'm with my sugar daddy, I tell my boyfriend that I'm hanging out with friends. I was out with my sugar daddy one night and my boyfriend walks into the restaurant. Part 2 is up. I'm having dinner with my sugar daddy when my boyfriend walks into the restaurant. By the way, my sugar daddy did not know I had a boyfriend. As soon as I see my boyfriend walk in, I tell my sugar daddy that I have to go to the bathroom. I literally bolted to the bathroom. As I'm in the bathroom stall freaking out, my boyfriend calls me. So I answer the phone and he says, "Hey, are you at the restaurant? I swear to God, I just saw you run into the bathroom. Who's that guy with you at the table?" I was caught. I had no option but to be honest with my boyfriend. I tell him to come to the bathroom and he comes in and I explain to him that it is my sugar daddy. Then he stares at me for a few seconds and asks me, "How much money does he give you?" I decided to lie and I said 3,000 instead of the 5,000. And my boyfriend says, "Wow." And I'm like, "Aren't you mad?" And he said, "No, you're just gonna have to share now." Excuse me? Then I told him I didn't want to be in the relationship any longer because he's a man-child and I had to pay for everything. Begged me not to leave him and he said that he would get a better job. We're still in the bathroom at this point and my sugar daddy's waiting for me outside. Then my boyfriend says, "If you don't want me to go out there and tell him that you have a boyfriend, you better start giving me some of that money." I was shocked. Part 3 is up. My boyfriend threatened me and told me that if I didn't share the money, he would tell my sugar daddy that I had a boyfriend. I believed him. I went back to my sugar daddy's table and we basically had dinner with my boyfriend sitting across from us having dinner with his friends. The whole time I was trying to figure out how I would break up with my boyfriend without having to share the money that my sugar daddy gave me. I told my sugar daddy that I wasn't feeling well. He called me an Uber to take me back to my apartment. I got to my apartment and I started packing my stuff. Like, I knew my boyfriend was bad for making me pay for everything, but I didn't know he was that bad. Freaking threatened me. Then he starts calling my phone, sends a text message and it says, "I'm gonna be home in 5 minutes." So I gathered all my things, ran downstairs and waited behind the building for the Uber. And my boyfriend sees me, comes up to me and rips my bag away from me. Tried to get my phone, but I took it away from him. And he said that I had to share the money that my sugar daddy gave me. Finally, the Uber arrives and I jump in. My boyfriend actually pulled me by my hair to try to get me out of the car. I've blocked him and haven't spoken to him since, and I'm still with my sugar daddy. I'm having dinner with my sugar daddy when my boyfriend walks into the restaurant. By the way, my sugar daddy did not know I had a boyfriend. As soon as I see my boyfriend walk in, I tell my sugar daddy that I have to go to the bathroom. I literally bolted to the bathroom. As I'm in the bathroom stall freaking out, my boyfriend calls me. So I answer the phone and he says, "Hey, are you at the restaurant? I swear to God, I just saw you run into the bathroom. Who's that guy with you at the table?" I was caught. I had no option but to be honest with my boyfriend. I tell him to come to the bathroom and he comes in and I explain to him that it is my sugar daddy. Then he stares at me for a few seconds and asks me, "How much money does he give you?" I decided to lie and I said 3,000 instead of the 5,000. And my boyfriend says, "Wow." And I'm like, "Aren't you mad?" And he said, "No, you're just gonna have to share now." Excuse me? Then I told him I didn't want to be in the relationship any longer because he's a man-child and I had to pay for everything. Begged me not to leave him and he said that he would get a better job. We're still in the bathroom at this point and my sugar daddy's waiting for me outside. Then my boyfriend says, "If you don't want me to go out there and tell him that you have a boyfriend, you better start giving me some of that money." I was shocked. Part 3 is up.
Story time about how I tried to get my boyfriend back for cheating on me, but I ended up with an STD instead. So a little background information. I was dating this guy for about 7 months whenever I was in high school. And I would always hang out with him, his guy friends, and their girlfriends. Well, the one night we were hanging out at my house and he kept checking my phone. And he said it was because he was waiting for his mom to text my phone. So then he had to go to the bathroom and he asked to take my phone with him. And I said no because that's weird as fuck. So while he's in the bathroom, I get a text from a random number. And it's a bunch of videos that my boyfriend took of him doing the nasty with other girls. And there were like 15 videos, all different girls. So by this time, he's been in the bathroom for like 15 minutes. So I go to confront him while he's in the bathroom, like I do not care at this point. And he's gone. My bathroom window is wide open. My curtains are broken. So then I start to text all of his best friends. Like for part 2. Part 2. So it turns out the person who sent it to me was one of the girls in my friend group. So at that point, every single person in that friend group was dead to me and I needed to get every single one of them back. So like I said, I started texting all my ex's best friends and I asked every single one of them if they wanted to hook up. 4 of them said yes, the other 3 just blocked me. And the 4 who said yes all had girlfriends in our friend group. Well, the girls in my friend group had no idea, so they invited me to their party. And at that party, it was my mission to do the dirty with every single one of those guys. Well, there was this bathroom in the basement, which nobody knew about except the girl whose house it was. So one after the other, I did the dirty with every single one of them in that bathroom. And I made sure to snap a picture or take a video, so that way I could send it to my boyfriend. I know, I'm crazy, get over it. Well, in the morning, my ex's closest best friend came over. Well, I did the dirty with him too, because my ex hated him being around me, because he was known for screwing other people's girlfriends. Okay, there's gonna be a part 3. Part 3. So a week later, I started having some problems down there. So I had my mom take me to the doctors. Turns out I have a fucking STD. And nobody knew about it, at least not yet. Well, my boyfriend came over that same day asking if we could get back together. So I thought, what an even better way to get back at him. Give him what I have. Mind you, I was still hooking up with all 4 of his best friends. And then like 2 weeks later, my boyfriend started talking to me about how he was also having problems down there. And I was like, oh, maybe you should go to the doctors. So after he went to the doctors, he texts me and he goes, yeah, I have an STD. So then I sent him all the videos of his best friends and I said, yeah, I hope you enjoy living with that for the rest of your life. And I also gave it to all of his friends and then they spread it to their girlfriends. Payback's a bitch.
Story time about how I lost my V card and my dad found out. My dad is insanely strict. I couldn't wear skirts or shorts. I wasn't allowed to wear makeup. I couldn't have guy friends. I was never allowed to go out anywhere by myself. Instead, my dad sent my older brother with me everywhere. He hated and I hated. By the way, I was 16 when this all happened. I needed some type of freedom. So I decided to join track and field. I asked my dad for permission and he said yes. At first, I loved it. I trained every day after school and I also met new friends, guys and girls. And my brother wasn't there, so I was able to talk to all the boys. Well, there was this one boy, let's call him Jake. Jake was so cute. I knew that he liked me and he obviously knew that I liked him. He was the fastest guy in the group and he would go out of his way to help me out and give me advice. So we started talking on the phone almost every day for like 10 minutes. He knew my dad was strict. We would see each other at practice almost every day. He asked me to be his girlfriend and I said yes. It was our little secret. We decided to stay late after practice one day. We thought we were by ourselves at the gym. We started making out, and one thing led to another. Part 2. So my boyfriend and I were doing it at the school gym. We thought we were by ourselves. It happened really fast, and we got dressed. Then I went home and had dinner with my parents. Everything was completely normal and fine. Until I get a text message from my friend. Her text said that someone saw Jake and I doing it in the school gym. Boy, did my stomach drop. I instantly started to panic because my brother went to the same high school. I knew if the rumor got around, my brother would eventually hear it and tell my dad. I told my friend it wasn't true. I didn't sleep that whole night. I got to school the next day and everyone was looking at me weird. And at lunchtime, I get a text message from my brother saying that he needs to talk to me. I knew I'd been caught. I didn't reply to his text and I just ignored it. I went to find Jake and I told him what happened. He told me that someone from track and field saw us doing it and started spreading the rumor. He told me we should just deny it and I agreed. My heart was pounding in my stomach the entire day. I go home and as soon as I walk in, my mom, dad, and brother are on the couch. And without saying a word, my dad grabs my phone and starts reading my text messages. Part 3 is up. So my dad takes my phone and starts reading all of my messages. It confirms that I have a boyfriend and I've been talking to him every single day. My mom was crying the whole time and my dad was just yelling at me. He took away my phone, my computer, and even took the door down from my room so that I had no privacy. Then my dad made me get in the car and he drove me to Jake's house. We knocked on the door and his mom opened the door. She tried to calm my dad down, but he wasn't listening. Then Jake comes downstairs and my dad just starts yelling at him too. But Jake tried to deny everything. His mom told him to stop lying and then he finally said yes. We did it. My dad told him to never look for me again. I never saw Jake after that, and now that it's been a few years, I'm dating a girl now and I don't know how to...
Story time about how my sister and I almost got beat up by a 40-year-old man. So there was this one girl who would bully my sister and I on the bus in elementary school. Well, one day we told the principal and the principal called her dad. And she made up this whole story about the only reason why she did it to us was because we were bullying her. So the next day, after we told the principal, her dad was at the bus stop. And he comes up to us, taps us both on the shoulder, and says, if you guys ever bully my daughter again, I will hold you down while me, her, and her sister beat the shit out of you guys. So we got to the school that day and we called our dad. We told him what happened, but he was kind of questioning it until our neighbor actually walked up to our house and knocked on the door and told my dad. And I guess at the bus stop, everybody kind of looked at the guy like, are you fucking crazy? Because my dad at the time was a bodybuilder. And he was like, what the fuck is he gonna do? Like for part two. Part two, because I don't want y'all to get mad at me again. And by the way, for everybody asking for that part two, it is already posted. Okay, let's get into it. So I'm not saying that because my dad's a bodybuilder that like he could kick his ass. It's just like you don't mess with, you know, a dad's kid, like girls, especially when we were his girls. So he called the school. We ended up going to court, and my dad, like, at court was literally like, if you ever lay a hand on my daughters again or like threaten my daughters like that, I will literally kill you. The judge yelled at my dad for that. And then he had to apologize to us, and because basically like he threatened us, and then like he got in trouble a little bit more for that, and like they did some other stuff that I don't really remember, but he wasn't allowed near us. He wasn't allowed to go to the bus stop anymore. He wasn't allowed near the school. If we were at the school, like, it was traumatizing. Like, anyways, thank you guys so much for 700, almost 700,000. I love you guys, and that is part two.
Storytime about how I found out my girlfriend was cheating on me with my sister. Girlfriend and I have been together for 8 months, and when COVID hit, we decided to just quarantine together, and basically we moved in together. Oh, and yes, I am a girl. We got to know each other really well, and we really enjoyed the relationship. Well, my sister lost her job because of COVID, and she asked me if she could move in with my girlfriend and I. Of course, I said yes. She's my sister, and I totally have her back. So my sister moved into our guest bedroom. My sister also had a boyfriend. Let's call him Jason. Jason was so in love with my sister, he wanted to propose and even asked me to look at rings. Well, Jason proposed and my sister said no. Everyone was shocked. My sister didn't give a reason why she didn't want to marry him, but she was really depressed. So my girlfriend would talk to her and just try to be her friend and comfort her. And I was happy that my girlfriend was trying to help out my sister. Jason kept trying to get my sister back, but she kept saying no. Well, one day I wake up from a nap and I hear weird noises coming from my sister's bedroom. I swing the door open and guess what I see? My sister and my girlfriend naked on her bed making out. The audacity. Part two is up. I walk in on my girlfriend and my sister doing the dirty. They both jump off the bed and start getting dressed really quickly. I left the room and sat on the couch. I couldn't even speak. My sister comes out of the room and asked me to understand. She explained to me that my sister was so kind to her after her breakup that she couldn't help but falling in love. I couldn't believe she said love. I just started to cry. Then my girlfriend comes out of the room fully dressed, and she swore that this was the first time they had ever even kissed. I didn't believe it for 1 second. My girlfriend was surprisingly really calm, and it made me feel even worse. I started to get really angry, realizing that the whole time my sister was living there, they were probably hooking up, and that's the reason why she didn't want to stay with her boyfriend or marry him. So I went into my sister's room, grabbed all her clothes, and started throwing them out of our balcony. I even threw her laptop out the balcony. And we were on the second floor. My sister was just chasing me around the apartment trying to stop me, but I would push her away. And I noticed my girlfriend is on her phone. I took the phone away from her, and guess what she was looking at? Come back for part three. After I caught my sister and girlfriend doing the dirty, I threw all my sister's things out of my apartment. Then I noticed my girlfriend is on her phone, so I take it away, and guess what she was looking at? She was deleting her Tinder and Bumble app, which means she was looking for people to date. Mind you, her and I had been in a committed relationship for the past 8 months. My girlfriend had no emotion. She didn't apologize, didn't say anything, but my sister was super emotional, apologizing. Then my girlfriend pipes up and says, you know, this is all your fault. I said, why? She said that I pressured her into moving in with me and that everything happened too quickly, which is not true. We both decided to move in together, and my girlfriend suggested the area we should actually live in. Then she turns to my sister and tells her that she's immature and that neither of us are worth being with. I told her to get her things and leave. She said, you're breaking up with me? I was like, of course I am. And she said that I would never find anyone as good as her. I forgave my sister because she's blood, and we're still living together. My sister has a boyfriend, and I'm trying to date people, but my ex still calls me even though she said I wasn't worth being with.
Toxic best friend story time. So I had an off and on friendship with this one girl. In my freshman year, we became friends again. And she had this boyfriend named Nicholas. And they literally fought 24/7. And every time she would fight, she would be like, can you please fix this for me? So she would have me add him on Snapchat, fix it, and then block him. And guys, this literally was happening like 5 times a week. And then after she asked me to do that the first few times, I realized she started going through my phone. And when I say my phone, I mean my whole motherfucking phone. A bitch was going through my Snapchats, DMs, text messages, and I didn't know how to confront her because that's just weird. So the one day I was getting ready at her house because we were about to go out, and she was like, I'm grounded, can I use your phone real quick? And I was like, yeah, just let me Snapchat this last person back. And she goes, no, and rips the phone out of my hand. And she starts going through my Snapchat right in front of me. and I had a streak with this kid named Nick. She goes up to me and says, "What the fuck is this?" Like for part 2.
Story time about when I lost my virginity to a water slide. So, do you guys know those water slides that you stand in and then they suddenly drop you straight down onto the water slide? If not, look them up on YouTube. There's nothing like them. Ah, yes, the sweet memories of my first time on one of these. I feel that my mental and emotional scars have healed enough to tell this gem. At the time, my girlfriend, now fiance, worked as a photographer for one of those resorts with the indoor and outdoor water parks. One of her perks was that her and a family member or friend could get into the water park for free. So one hot summer day she had off, we both decided it'd be fun to go there and cool down for the day. While we were there, I discovered one of their most thrilling looking water slides. Basically, you stand in this tube and then the slide operator presses a button and the slide drops you straight down like 90 feet before you actually start going down the water slide. Me, being a thrill seeker, of course, had to try it. So I made a great climb up to the top of the slide, stood in line, and finally it was my turn. Once I got in the tube, the operator told me to keep my legs crossed. Now I'm a pretty big, heavy guy, so I was like, that's uncomfortable as fuck, I'm not doing that. So there I was, standing in the tube, having a panic attack from anticipation, with my legs not crossed. The operator finally presses the button and the bottom opens and I fall straight down the water slide. Very quickly I realized why they have you cross your legs. Water shot so far up my ass, so fast, I swear I tasted it in my mouth. My body raced down that slide as I questioned every life choice I had ever made. Once I made it down to the bottom, I sat there for a moment, absolutely violated. I felt like someone in an old episode of Law & Order, Special Victims Unit. I built up the courage to finally stand up, and all I could feel was a nice warm stream of water mixed with shit, and maybe a little bit of blood shoot out of my ass faster than a steamboat geyser at Yellowstone National Park. I quickly got off the slide and ran to the bathroom with a trail of shitty water tailing me as the slide operator stared in awe. They had to shut down the slide for the rest of the day, but man was my asshole clean after that.
Story time about how my boyfriend sent me proof that he was cheating on me by mistake. My stupid, idiotic boyfriend is so dumb. Like, seriously dumb. We've been dating for 6 months and we met on a dating app. As soon as we became boyfriend and girlfriend, he introduced me to all of his friends. And one of his best friends happens to be a girl. A very, very good-looking girl. And no, I didn't even let it bother me because he told me he loved me and he liked me. And obviously, like, why wouldn't he just date her? But here's the thing. Every time I would hang out with her and my boyfriend, she would make it so obvious that she was competing for his attention. She would wear really short crop tops and show off all her cleavage. And if a big group of us went to a bar, she would make sure to get super drunk and make a scene. And anytime that she would get hit on by a guy, she would run to my boyfriend and tell her to save him. And he did everything she told him to. A few weeks ago, we were all at a house party and she made sure to only dance with him the entire night. Of course, this made me uncomfortable, so I started asking him questions. He denied everything profusely, so I just let it go. But a few days later, I get a screenshot that he obviously meant to send to one of his guy best friends about his girl best friend. And this screenshot was a picture that she had sent him, along with a few messages that they had sent each other. He told her that she looked hot in the picture and that she was hoping I would break up with him soon. What more proof did I need? In the screenshot that he sent me by mistake, I read the messages between him and his girl best friend. And the last message was her asking him, "So when are you gonna break up with her to be with me?" Mind you, my boyfriend and I have been together for 6 months. We had already talked about getting an apartment together and I didn't see this coming whatsoever. So here's what I did. I took a screenshot of the screenshot he sent me and I sent it back to him. When I saw that he read it, he didn't say anything. So instead I tried to call him. Guess what? He blocked me. I was at work at the time, so I couldn't leave my job. But I spent the rest of my shift running to the toilet because I had diarrhea. I was nervous and my palms were super sweaty. Mom spaghetti. But seriously, I felt sick to my stomach. After an hour, I realized that he was totally gonna ignore me. I decided to send the screenshot to her. That's when this girl told me to leave them alone and that my boyfriend didn't want to hear from me ever again. I told her that he was the one that needed to tell me that. Then she sends me a picture of him and her kissing. She was ruthless. Once my shift ended, I drove straight to his house, but he wasn't there. I went to the bar where they usually hang out, but they weren't there either. Finally, a few hours later, I get a message from him telling me that I just need to get over him and that the relationship wasn't going anywhere. Oh yeah, and that he was totally in love with his best friend, but he didn't realize it until he started dating me. He even left all of my stuff in a box outside of his house. It's been a week and I still haven't seen his face. I want to get back with him, but I realize he's a bad guy. What do I do?
My 22 female boyfriend, 25 male, is hiding all of my stuff. And I have no idea why. My boyfriend of 5 months just moved in with me 3 weeks ago. He had some problems with his apartment, damp walls, and it has to be renovated. As my roommate is currently spending some time abroad, I told him it would be okay if he stayed at my place for 4 to 6 weeks. He'll be able to move back to his own apartment by that time. So now we've been living together for 3 weeks and things started out great. Jealousy had been a bit of a problem between us because we often go out separately, probably once a week, but coming home to the same apartment helped him get over that.
Interesting.
But there has been one new problem. Now, this may seem petty at first, but I'm really at my wit's end with this one. Ever since he moved in with me, things started disappearing and then reappearing one day later in the same place they were missing from. I'm talking about documents, small household items, and food. And it's not like losing keys and then finding them again somewhere. I specifically look for something in a certain place where it isn't, but it's there the next day. For example, I like to take a chocolate bar with me to work in the morning, and for that, I normally have a pack of chocolate bars at home. Shortly after